Hi friends, in this tutorial series, we'll be creating a full stack application using React and Spring Boot 3. The full stack application that we'll be developing is an employee management system. So using React and Spring Boot 3, we'll be creating an employee management system. In the tutorial that we'll be implementing today, I've given the link of the demo application that we'll be having at the end of this tutorial series. So this is the employee management system that we'll be creating. So here first we'll need to enter the credentials. The username is Java in use. Password is also Java in use. Click on login. On successful login, we get the list of existing employees. On this employee list, we can perform CRUD operations. So let us add a new employee first. Yeah, I'll just give the name as old employee. And department, I'll give it as HR again. So here we can see that an employee named old employee has been added to the list of existing employees. Next, let us update this employee detail. So here I'll just name it as old employee 1 and I'll save. So here it is getting reflected here. Finally, by making use of this delete employee button, we can delete the record. So click on this. So the employee with ID 3 has been successfully deleted. Also here we have the logout button. So if we click on the logout button, we'll be redirected back to the login page. So without login, if someone tries to access the employees list, then he will not be able to. Instead, he will again be redirected to the employee login page. So let us start this tutorial. Go to javanews.com, React get started. The tutorial that we'll be implementing today is React Spring Boot Hello World application. So we have already looked at the demo application. The technology stack that we'll be making use for this tutorial series is, for the backend we'll be making use of Spring Boot 3, Spring Data JPA, Spring Security 6, JWT and MySQL database. For the front end we'll be making use of React.js 18, Bootstrap and Axios. Also for the demo application that we just saw, I'm not making use of MySQL DB for that demo application. Instead, I have made use of mocked responses. So before we begin implementing the full stack application using Spring Boot and React, let us first have a look at what is a full stack application. In full stack application, we expose the backend point to get the data. This data, it can then be used by any application or device as per the need. In future, if any other front-end device is to be used, then there will not be much change, and the new device, it will just need to call the backend point and get the data and display it. In our case, we will be exposing the endpoints to get the data using Spring Boot, so it will be a backend, whereas a front-end, it will be a React application. Tomorrow, if you have to develop an Angular application, then the backend, it will not be changed. Instead, we'll be developing an Angular application and just calling the backend Spring Boot application to get the data and display it in Angular. There are quite a few advantages of making use of this full stack application development approach. One of them is loose coupling between the front end and the back end. For this tutorial, we'll be implementing the following. So for the React application, we have the employee app component, which has the create, list, update and delete employee components. For this tutorial, we'll be creating the list employee component. So when the user, he makes a call to the list employee component, it will make a call to the Spring Boot backend. The Spring Boot backend, we have the REST controller. So when the list employee component, it makes a call to this REST controller. Instead of calling the MySQL database, fetching the data and then returning back to the list employee component, we'll be returning a mocked employee list, which will then be displayed by the list employee component. So let us begin with the implementation part. We'll first be creating a Spring Boot application using which we'll be exposing REST endpoint, which will return a list of mocked employees. So this list, it will then be consumed by the React application. For creating the Spring Boot application, we'll be making use of the Spring Initializer website. So go to Spring Initializer website. Here we'll be creating a Maven project. Group, I'll give it as com.java in use. Artifact name, I'll give it as boot React app. Then I'll be adding dependencies. So the only dependency for now that we'll be adding is the Spring Web dependency. Since we are exposing REST endpoints, click on generate. So this will download us a zip which has a Spring Boot Maven project. Unzip it and import it in Eclipse. So from the Spring Initializer website, we downloaded the boot react app.zip file. Extract this project, copy this path, go to Eclipse, file, import, existing Maven project, give this path here, finish. So this will import the Maven project in Eclipse. So if we go to the pom.xml, here we have the Spring Boot Starter Web dependency that we had selected in the Spring Initializer website. Also here we have the Spring Boot Starter Test dependency for writing the unit test cases. So right click on the pom.xml, run as maven install. This will download the dependencies that we have specified in the pom.xml. So the project it has successfully built and it has downloaded all the dependencies as required. So this Spring Boot application will be exposing a REST endpoint to return a list of employees. So first we'll be creating the employee model class. So here we'll be having an employee class. This employee class, it will be having the fields ID, name and department. ID will be of type long, whereas name and department it will be of type string. So we'll be returning a list of employees. Copy this class name. Here we'll be creating a new class, employee. The package will be com.javanews boot react app .model. Click on finish. Copy the contents of this class. Next we'll be creating a controller class named employee controller. For this employee controller we make use of the REST controller annotation. In the employee controller class we create a list of type employee named employees. We initialize this list using the create list method. So the create list, it is a static method, and inside this create list method we are creating a list temp employees which we are returning back. So here we create two employee objects, add it to this temp employees list and return it back. So the employees list, it is getting initialized using the create list method. Also here we have another method named get employees. For this method we make use of the request mapping annotation. So using the request mapping annotation we expose a get endpoint with the value /employees. So whenever the user he calls this URL /employees, the get employees method will be called, and this get employees method it will return the employees list that we have created here. So let us create this employee controller class. Here in Eclipse, create a new class. The package will be com.javanews.bootreactapp.controller. Copy the contents of this class. So in the employee controller class, we have exposed a REST endpoint with the mapping /employees, which will return us a list of employees. So let us test this REST endpoint that we have created. Let us start the Spring Boot application. We'll be doing this by running the boot react app application. So this class, it has the Spring Boot application annotation. So right click on this, run as Java application. This will start a Spring Boot application. So if we'll have a look here, it has started on port 8080. If we now go to the URL localhost 8080/employees, here we can see that a list of employees has been returned back. So our Spring Boot application, it is working good. So we are done with the backend code changes where we created a Spring Boot application which has a REST controller that returns the mocked employee list response. Next we'll be creating the front end, which will be a React application. So for this React application, we'll be creating an employee component. So this employee component, it will have a list employee component which will call the Spring Boot backend where we have exposed the REST endpoints and display the list that will be returned back. So let us begin with the implementation part. So here we have React development. For React, we'll first need to install Node.js. For this, go to this website here. So download this. This is an MSF file. Install this on Windows. So the installation has finished. Next we'll be checking the Node.js and npm version. So for this, open the command prompt as an admin. We'll check the Node version. It is v20. Similarly, we can check the npm version. It is 10.2.4. Next we'll be creating a new React project. For this, the command used is npx create react app and the name of the React app that we want to create. In our case, this will be employee app, that is emp-app. So copy this command. Go to the folder where you want to create this app. So this will create a React application for us. So here a React application named emp-app has been created for us. Go to that folder and let us start the React application by using the command npm start. So this will start a React application. So here the React application, it has started successfully. The React application, it runs on port 3000. So if you go to localhost 3000, here we can see the React startup page. Next, let us have a look at the project structure of the React application that we have created. So here we have created a React application named emp-app. So it has 3 folders: node modules, public and source. Also here we have a file named package.json. Inside the package.json, we have the dependencies. So these are the dependencies that are downloaded and used by this React application. So React, the version that we are using is 18.2.0. All these dependencies, they get downloaded in the node_modules folder. So here we have all the dependencies that are installed and used. Next we have a folder named public. So as the name suggests, all the resources that are there inside this public folder, they are accessible to the user, that is to all the public. So inside this public folder we have the index.html. So React is a single page application. So what do we mean by a single page application? It means that no matter what the URL, the page that always gets loaded is the index.html. So only a single page application will get loaded always, and inside this different views or components will get displayed. So currently in index.html we have here div id is equal to root. So this div id is equal to root is the root component. So if we go to source index.js file, so here if you will see, using document.getElement by id root, we are trying to load inside the root the app component. So here we have a component named app. So this is the component that is finally getting displayed. So it is something like this. So we have the index.html. Inside that we have the root component, which makes use of the app component, and this is the component that is currently getting displayed in the index.html page. So if we go to the React page on which our application is running, that is localhost 3000. So here the app component content is getting displayed. So here we have learn React. Now suppose if I go back to the app component, and here if I write from Java in use and save this file. So now we have learn React from Java in use. If I now go back to the React page, here I can see learn React from Java in use. So if you are modifying the app component, it is getting reflected here. So let us remove this header completely, and here I just write app component. So here app component is getting displayed. Before we make further changes to our code base, let us have a look at what are React components in detail. A component in React.js is an independent and reusable code block that helps us divide the user interface into smaller and manageable pieces. So instead of having a single component, we break the logic into multiple smaller components. By breaking down UI into components, developers can create modular and reusable code. Components can be used multiple times across different parts of an application, reducing code duplication and making it easier to make changes or add new features. So for example, in the app component, later we are going to create the employee component, and the employee component, it will further have different other components like the create employee component, update employee component, delete employee, list employee, login component and logout component. So we are breaking down the logic into multiple smaller components. So this is much easier to maintain, and further if any other more functionality is needed, we can create its own component and it will not affect other components. Also these components, they are reusable. So for example, the logout and the login component, they are used throughout all the other components like the create employee, update, delete and list employee. Next, let us have a look at the type of components in React. So in React, there can be two types of components: functional components and class components. Functional components, these components, they are implemented as normal JavaScript functions and return a React element. So here we have a function named myComponent, and here it is returning a React element. So this is JSX. We'll have a look at what is JSX later on. Next we have class components. So class components are ES6 classes that extend the React.component class. So this is the example of class component. Class myComponent extends React.component, and here again it is returning a JSX element. In earlier React versions, only class components could have state associated with it, whereas functional components, they could not associate state. However, from React version 16.8, by making use of hooks, even functional components, they can make use of state. So now React applications, they mostly make use of functional components. Even for this tutorial, we'll be mostly making use of functional components. Next, let us have a look at what is JSX. So JSX, it stands for JavaScript XML. It is a popular JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It is a combination of HTML and JavaScript syntax. So in JSX we have a JavaScript function, and inside that we write some HTML code. For example, for a functional React component named myComponent, here we are returning a JavaScript function, and inside this JavaScript function we have some HTML code. So this is returning us a JSX React element. However, the HTML code that we'll be writing for JSX, the syntax rules are quite different from regular HTML code. Next we'll have a look at the syntax rules to be followed when writing JSX code. So the first rule is a component, it should always return a single React element such as a div, section, article or fragment. So let us consider an example. Here we have a function named myComponent that is returning us a React JSX element. So copy this code. So the rule says that suppose if the JSX, it has multiple elements. So here we have multiple elements h1 and p. So this component, it cannot return multiple JSX elements, but it can return only a single JSX element. So what we do is the multiple JSX elements, we put it in a single JSX element which will be a div. So this will be a top level element. Inside this we can have multiple other JSX elements. So this syntax here is valid as the React component, it is returning a single JSX element. Next JSX syntax rule is when writing HTML on multiple lines, it is recommended to wrap the HTML code inside parentheses to avoid syntax errors. So suppose we have multiple lines of HTML code, then this code, it should be inside parentheses here. Only then this will be a valid code. The next rule is JSX is stricter than HTML and requires all closing tags to be explicitly included. So unlike in HTML, where suppose for a break tag we may not have a closing tag, however this is not allowed in JSX. Here the HTML elements, they should always have a closing tag. CSS classes should be specified using class name attribute instead of the class attribute. So in normal HTML code we specify the CSS attributes by using the keyword class. However, in case of JSX, the keyword that should be used is class name. The next rule is event handlers in JSX should be specified using camel case syntax. So for example, onClicks should be used instead of onClick, and onChange should be used instead of onChange. So these are some of the rules that are to be followed when using JSX. Now that we have looked at what are React components and JSX, let us get back to the implementation part. So as we had seen before that inside the app component, we'll be creating the employee component. So this employee component, it will consist of other required components. For this, in the source folder, we'll be creating a folder named components. So go to the Visual Studio Code. Here in source, create a new folder, name it as components. And inside components, create a new file. We'll name this as employee-app.js. Next, inside the employee-app.js file that we just created, we'll be creating a React component named employee-app. So as told before that, we'll be making use of functional components throughout this tutorial. So here we have a function named employee app which returns a simple JSX element. So this JSX element just displays employee app text. So copy this code and paste it in the employee app.js file. Next we'll be embedding the employee app component inside the app component. So we have already looked at this. So we have the root component, inside this we have the app component, and inside the app component we'll be having the employee component. So go to the app component, that is app.js, and here instead of displaying app component, we'll be having the employee component. After making this change, if we now go to localhost 3000, here we'll see that employee app is getting displayed. So inside the app component, we have successfully embedded the employee app component. The employee app component that we just created, it will be the parent component for all the other child elements like list employees, update employees, etc. that we'll be creating further. Next, we'll be creating a component named list employees which will fetch all the employees data from Spring Boot application and display it. So in the components folder, we'll create a file named listemployees.js. So go here, inside components, create a new file, name it as listemployees.js. In this list employees file, we'll be creating a component named list employees which will get the list of employees from the Spring Boot backend and display it. So here we are creating a React function component named list employees app, and using JSX we are just displaying list employees. So copy this. Next, this list employees app, we'll be embedding it inside the employee app. So now our project structure is, we have index.html which has a root component, then the app component, employee component, and inside employee component we have the list employee component. So if we now go to localhost 3000, we see a list employees gets printed. Inside the employee app component, along with the list employee component, we also have the update employee component. So let us create this update employee component also. So we'll be creating a file named updateemployee.js. So here again in components, create a file name updateemployee.js. Inside the created file, we'll be again creating a component named updateEmployeeApp, and it will be having a JSX element which prints updateEmployee. So copy this. Now this employee app, it will be having multiple components like list employees app, update employees app, create employees app, login, logout, and other components. So let us add here the update employee app that we just created. So now the employee app, it has the list employee component and the update employee component. If we now go to localhost 3000, here we can see both list employees as well as update employee. However, this is not we want. We want the list employee component and the update employee component. They should be displayed separately within the employee component. Also in future tutorials, we'll be adding different components like the login component, the create employee component, and other components. So all these components, they should be shown separately within the employee component. For this, we'll be adding routing to the React application. So at the beginning of this tutorial, in this diagram, we had seen that when the user, he enters some URL, then depending on the URL, the router, it will forward the request to one of the components within the employee component. So suppose if the URL it is /update, then it will be forwarded to the update employee component. Whereas if suppose the URL it is /employees, then it will be forwarded to the list employee component. So next we'll be creating this router here. To implement this routing, we'll need to add the React router DOM to our project. So for this, the command is npm install reactor router DOM. So go to the command prompt. So here React application is running. Stop it and here install the React router DOM. So here the React router DOM, it is successfully installed. If you now go to package.json, here we can see that in dependencies, the React router DOM, it has been added. Its version is 6.21.3. So now, and let us start the project. Next we'll be making use of the components installed by the React router DOM. Inside the employee app component, we'll be first making use of the browser router component. What this component does is that it keeps on listening for any URL changes, and if it detects any URL changes have taken place, then it makes changes in the view accordingly. To this browser router component, we pass the routes component. So what this routes component does is that it defines the routing within the application. So if the URL path it is /employees, then the list employees app will be loaded in view. If the URL it is /update, then the update employee app will be loaded in view. So let us make these changes. We'll copy this code and here go to the employee app. Making these changes, we see that the React compilation, it is not working properly. So here it shows that the browser router and routes is not defined. So we'll need to import these two components. Similarly, import the routes component. Save it. If you now go to the compilation here, it shows that route is also not defined. So import this route also. Save it. So here now it has compiled successfully. So now let us test the changes that we have just made. So on /employees, the list employee component should get loaded, and on /update, the update employee component should get loaded. So let us check this. So here the list employees component is getting loaded, and now type update. The update employee component is getting loaded. So our router, it is working properly. Next we'll be modifying the list employees component to display hard-coded employee data. So instead of fetching this data from Spring Boot backend, we'll first be making use of some hard-coded data and displaying it in the list employees component. So the following code that we'll be implementing, it creates a list of employees by rendering a table with two columns, ID and name. So this will be employee ID and this will be employee name. The data for this table, it will be taken from the employees array. So this is the hard-coded data that we'll be making use of. So let us have a look at the code. So in the code, we are creating an array named employees. It has two values, ID1 employee1 and ID2 employee2. In the return function using JSX, we are returning a table. So this table, it has two columns, ID and name. and its values we are populating it by iterating over the array named employees that we have created here. So using employees.map, we'll be mapping the employee.id and employee.name to the id and name column. So let us make these changes in the list employees component. So go to the list components and make this change here. So if we now go to the command prompt where React application is running, so yeah, it is compiling properly, there are no issues. Let us now go to localhost 3000/employees. So here we can see the list of employees. Later on we'll be adding CSS to this so that this list it gets displayed properly. But for now we are able to display the list of employees. Next we'll be modifying the employee component to not make use of the hard-coded employee data but instead to fetch this employee list from the REST endpoint exposed using Spring Boot. For this we'll be adding a button which will fetch the data from Spring Boot application. Initially on the click of this button it will only print in the console. So here in the code we have added a button, and on the click of this button the getEmployees function will get called. So this getEmployees function currently it is just printing in the log fetching employees. So this is one change that we are going to make. The other modification that we'll be making is that for the employees.map we pass the key property. So in our case the key property is employee.id. So here for the employees.map to the table row we pass the key, and for us the key is employee.id. We need this key because it helps React identify which elements have changed, which have been added or which have been removed. Without the key property, React may face difficulty in efficiently updating the components. It is generally recommended to include a unique key property when mapping over arrays in React to improve performance and avoid potential issues. So let us make these changes in the code. Copy this function and we will be adding it here. Next we'll be adding the button. The next change we'll be making is we'll be adding this key property. So we are done with the changes. If we now go to localhost 3000/employees, here we can see the getEmployees button. Now let us open the developer tools. So here if I now click on the getEmployees button, you can see that it is printing fetch employees in the console. Next, in the getEmployees method, instead of just printing fetching employees, we'll be making the actual REST call here in the getEmployees method. For this we'll need to install Axios. So using the Axios framework, we'll be able to consume the REST endpoints exposed by the Spring Boot backend. So copy this command, npm install Axios, go to the command prompt, stop the application. So this will install Axios. So Axios is installed successfully. If you now go to package.json, here we'll see to the dependency section Axios has been added. Its version is 1.6.5. Next, inside the list employee component, using the Axios library, we'll be making a get call to http localhost 8080/employees. So this is the endpoint exposed by the Spring Boot backend. On making this HTTP call, if it is successful, then the onSuccess function will get called. If there is an error, then the onError function will get called. In the list employee component, let us make these changes. So go to the list employees component. So here I'll be replacing this function. Save this. And I'll need to start my application. In the React application, we get an exception that Axios is not defined. So we'll just need to import it. Let us go back to the command prompt. So here now the React application has started successfully. So before we touch these changes, we'll need to start the Spring Boot application that we had created earlier. So I'll be starting this Spring Boot application in the debug mode. And I'll be adding a debug point here. So now let us test this application. I'll refresh this page. So here I'll click on the get employees button. So here fetching employees is getting printed. If you go to the Spring Boot application, the debug endpoint it has reached here in employees. So if you go back to the console, but here we get an exception that access to the URL localhost 8080/employee from the origin localhost 3000 has been blocked by CORS policy. So what is the CORS or CORS policy? So CORS errors, they happen when a web page it makes a request to a different domain than the one that served the page. So for us this is happening because our React application, it is running on port 3000, while the Spring Boot application, it is running on port 8080. So when the Spring Boot application, it receives a request from port 3000 which is different from the port on which it is running, so it returns this cause error. For this we'll need to enable cross-origin resource sharing to allow the React frontend to get data from the Spring Boot backend. So we'll need to add this annotation cross-origin, and here we are allowing that from this URL localhost 3000 allow the request. So localhost 3000 is the port on which our front-end application, that is React, is running. So go to the Spring Boot application, stop it, and here just add this annotation. Start the application again. So here the application has started. Now go back to the Chrome browser. I'll refresh this page and I'll click on get employees. So here again we are back in the Eclipse as we have a debug point here. I run this. So now if you'll see in the console, it should be printing the response that it is getting. So here in the data it is getting an array of size 2. Here we can see the list of employees that is returned by the Spring Boot application. So currently we are just printing the employee list that we got from the Spring Boot backend in the console. You have to make use of this list to populate the table that we have in the employee list component. This is achieved using React state. So a state is an object that holds data related to a React component. In React we can add state to a component by making use of something called as hook. A React hook, it is a special function that lets us hook into React features. The hook that can be used to make use of a state in a component is called useState. So this is the syntax of the useState React hook. So here we have useState, to which we pass the initial value. Now this returns as an array. In the array we have two fields. The first is the state. So this will be the current state of the component. And the second is setState. So this setState is a function which updates the value of the state. Now this can be a bit confusing, so let us understand how we make use of useState in our application to understand it better. So in our application, for the useState, we pass an empty array. So the state variable employees, its initial value will be an empty array. Also we have a function here setEmployee. So using this function, we can change the value of this employees array. So when we make use of this useState in our application, the employee list, initially it will be empty, as the employees array here, using which the employee table is being populated, it is empty. Later when we get the employees list from the Spring Boot backend, we'll be making use of the setEmployee function to update the employees array, which will in turn update the employees table. So let us make use of this useState hook in our application. Go to the list employees component. Here instead of the employees array, we'll be making use of the useState hook. So import this. So now we are setting the employees array, the initial value, as a blank array using useState hook. Also using Axios, when we make a successful get call to this URL, we get an employee list as a response. So when this is successful, using the setEmployee function, we will be updating the employees array. So here we have the setEmployee, to which we pass the employee list that we get. On success, we will be updating the employees array here. So now let us test these code changes. So here we are at localhost 3000/employees. So currently the list, it is empty. This is because using the useState we have set the employees array as empty. So now when I click on get employees, here the employee list, it gets populated. This is because we are getting this data emp1 and emp2 from the Spring Boot backend and populating it in the list using the state. So we are finally able to display the employee list that we get from the Spring Boot backend in the employee list component. However, this is not the behavior we want. We want that as soon as the page loads, this list, it should get populated and not on the click of a button. To load the employee table with the employee list fetched from the Spring Boot backend as soon as the page loads, we make use of the React hook named useEffect. So this useEffect hook, it tells the React application that your component, it needs to do something after render. So here we make use of useEffect. So here for the useEffect hook, we pass two arguments. The first is the name of the function that will be called once the page is rendered. And the second is an empty list, which tells that this function, it is to be called only once. So suppose instead of an empty list, we pass here some variable name, then this function, it will be called whenever that variable is updated. So let us make use of this useEffect hook in a code. Also I'll be removing this button since we don't need it. So now on page render, this use effect hook, it will call the get employees only once and it will fetch the data and populate the table. So let us test this code. So here it is failing. I think we need to import the use effect hook. Okay. So now this is fine. So now you can see here that on page refresh itself, the list it is getting populated. So our code it is working properly. So here we have finally created a full stack application where the employee list it is being fetched from the Spring Boot backend and it is being displayed. For this tutorial we have not implemented any CSS, so it is not looking that good, but in further tutorials we will be implementing the design using CSS. Hope you have understood this tutorial. You can download the source code from here. Thank you.